What's up, chutters? It's day 290, and what did we do today? We sent out 30 emails. We had our post today. I've already been scheduling the posts, so I don't actually have to do any content creation the other 6 days of the week, which is great. And then we built out a workflow that needs testing, and then we made a new banner for our LinkedIn, and then the only things we gotta do is just set up this local LLM, start testing it, playing around with it, and then get really comfortable with using local LLMs, just because I am trying to steer away from Codex and having a bit of a high-end model that can sort of replace some of Codex's functionality would be great, especially one that could pick up on coding and this somehow, ideally, because one of my major workflows is that after I make a wireframe for any workflow, I would then run it through a spec file, just so that it's like a more detailed version that's more production, build ready. I was thinking, well, what if I have a high level local model run that whole, at least some of the process, if not that entire process. Okay, maybe not the entire process, but the spec writing, QA, and then building the actual code base. But fortunately, there's a reason why you use frontier models for a lot of things. It's just because they are good. They are good. They're tested, and they're actually good products that are, obviously you have to pay for it, so obviously they're good products compared to local LLMs, which are open source. You don't pay for them, and so all the development is just sort of whatever people develop on their own. So a lot of it is just sort of ad hoc production. You kind of have to build things on your own, build your own infrastructure, and so it does make you think more carefully on what you want to spend your time building. And so is it really worth just building something or using a local LLM for this rather than just using Claude Code, because Claude Code's pretty fucking good, and that's the main thing. Right now, because I'm freelancing, it's a bit weird, especially given that a lot of my workflows are automated, or at least semi-automated, and so much of the work is just done by an AI. So much, not all of it, obviously, but the thing is, it's really fucking fast. It's so productive that at some point it just feels like, what more do I do? And that's the question I've been asking myself a lot. And not a lot, but today I've been asking myself, what are the things that I could do to get me to where I want to be in 6 months? And to answer that question, maybe this is not final, but this is definitely where I'm sort of landing. 30 outreach emails a day, and then asking me on my Gmail, and then this is the daily part, 30 outreach emails a day, and an hour of learning a day, and about, I think it was 3 hours of building. I said if I spend 3 hours a day just building stuff and experimenting and learning more, I get better. And the whole point right now is just get better at what I do. Especially now that I don't actually have to run a whole business and worry about like all these, worry about all the infrastructure that I pay for. You know, I don't pay for any of that anymore, and so I'm just freelancing and sort of bootstrapping the whole setup, and so I'm just bootstrapping my whole freelancer work, and I'm getting better at it, and so it's all about, yeah. And then with all that, there's also honestly not that much. Like, there's only so much time I'd spend building, you know, and there's only so much learning that, you know, obviously get diminishing returns at some point. If I spend an hour learning, spend more than that. It's like there's something better I could do. But I'm thinking, what is that better thing? 30 outreach emails a day, and the thing is, about those outreach emails, the drafts get written, and so I'm not. All I have to do is just send them manually, edit, review, send. That's it, you know. And so a lot of the work is just taken off my hands because of the stuff I've built, the infrastructure I've built, which is weird because I feel like I could be doing more. Obviously, I know that if I'd be doing more if I had more pipeline, but while I don't have pipeline, you know, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know, all of my effort is going into acquisition right now. I've got a client project that's stalled out because I'm waiting for a response on the update that I sent over, and then, you know, stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like, if all this effort goes into like the acquisition side of things, and then I have the actual delivery just, you know, sitting there doing nothing. I have not delivered anything in the past few days because, you know, the project stalled. So I'm like sitting here, I feel like I've got nothing else to do. I can't send more emails, and then I'm gonna, like, more than 30 emails a day, I'm gonna get flagged for spam, and then my lead list will get exhausted really quickly. So I'm thinking, you know, what more can we do? Uh, yeah, but the ideal, like, if you think about it, you have to think about it in this way. You will never get good at anything unless you start thinking about, okay, about doing it in like hundreds of hours, you know. If you do it for like 5 hours, of course you're not gonna be good at it. But if you've done 100 hours worth of cold email related stuff, 100 hours of building, more than that, you hundreds of hours, then that's when the real confidence, that's when real skill happens. You can't think, I need to do 10 hours of this and then I'll get good. If you do 100 hours, you're gonna be pretty decent, you know. If you do 200, 300, you can be fucking good. And so I'm thinking, how can I maximize all my time? Just fucking go crazy. Just lock the fuck in, put all my effort, and, you know, squeeze every last like minute of the day to get, you know, get as much time, many reps in, and like, yeah. So, and increase my throughput, you know. Obviously, I'm working with one Gmail inbox right now, which kind of sucks, but then I can't really get more than one because it's my lead list is only oh so few, you know. So I'll hit up everyone in the lead list, and then I'll hit them up again for any follow-ups, and then that's it. I'm not gonna do LinkedIn. I don't like the idea of LinkedIn outreach. It's sort of diminishing on my, it could, you know, it's sort of an asset, you know. My LinkedIn brand is an asset that I'm sort of protecting, you know. And so the outreach is going to be like sort of out of scope for the most part. If it happens, it happens. But yeah, also, okay, one thing I'm definitely going to have to do is set up a new lead sourcing workflow because I've discontinued my Apollo subscription, which is where I got all of my prospect data from. I don't have access to that database anymore. So I need to find different ways of sourcing leads, which now that I don't have that database, if my prospecting might end up being quite manual, not relatively manual, especially if I'm running it through LinkedIn. Like if I'm using LinkedIn to find prospects, yeah, definitely gonna be very manual, which is sucky, but it is what it is, and it's the kind of effort you've got to put in. And so, and that's the hundreds of hours you're talking about. No one ever got good at anything until they put in over 100 hours or more than 100 hours, 200, 300. So you can't say, oh, I'm really good at running my business. Yeah, you could be decent, you can have some talent, but then once you get past a certain threshold of the hours you put in, then you can say, okay, you should be good. You probably, most likely, will be good, and very confident in what you can do. So there's no reason to give up on any skill, anything you're pursuing, until you've put in that kind of time, because that's when you really start to see the fruits of your labor. In other words, I feel like I'm approaching 100 hours or so in some categories, but I haven't surpassed that threshold. So what point is there for me to like give up or to slow down? So yeah, yeah, that's it from me. 12 minutes was crazy. Bye.